Hello everyone. So Konami has released new cards in Master Duel, and one of the new cards is Crimson Dragon. So if you are a Master Duel player who plays like synchro decks, or you recently picked up Dragunity, or you played Dragunity already, you're probably happy that this card came to Master Duel, right? Like it's a very important card in synchro strategies that allows for cheating out other synchro monsters from the extra deck without really committing tuners and non-tuners as to summon them. So it's a way to turbo out some synchros, and usually overall this card is really good. However, the way that this card was released in Master Duel is not really great for us specifically, like the Dragunity players, because they did not release a specific card that goes really well with this Crimson Dragon. So if we look at the cards that were released in Master Duel, so we have the Crimson Dragon itself, and we have all these three cards that don't really do much for us. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is that these cards don't add anything to our deck that we cannot already do ourselves in the current state of the game. So we already have everything and every card that we need to do exactly the same things that this card allows us to do, and there is no really benefit from playing these cards. So let me explain. So Overtop is really bad. Like this card is more used in synchro decks that want to turbo out like the Quasar dragons, which is not Dragunity. Synchro Ward is decent, it can be played. However, usually when you play it, you want to add in even more cards to the deck just to do Calamity Lock or whatnot, like things that you can already do with the current cards that we have without even adding like 3 or 4 cards to the main deck as garnets. Because usually for Synchro Ward you want to play I think the Rose Dragon package to make the combo work. Like that you can end on a King Calamity setup plus 2 or 3 negates to protect the setup, which is a good combo, but it takes a lot of resources and it commits a lot of cards to the deck building as well that you don't want to draw. So yeah, it's really bad. I don't like those type of decks, but it's fun when it works, I guess. Statue is decent as well, but the problem with Statue for us is that the only valid target for it is Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, right? It's the only good target for us. So if you play it, you're kind of forced to summon Crystal Wing somehow and then send it to the graveyard to get the benefit from playing Statue, right? And even then, Statue has the drawback of returning the monster that you summon with it to the extra deck at the end phase of that turn. So it doesn't matter if you summon back your Crystal Wing from the graveyard, and during the end phase it's gonna go back in the extra deck anyway, so you're gonna lose it regardless, right? And it depending on whether or not you're going for OTK or not, this might be good or it might be bad. So yeah, these cards don't do anything. They don't add anything to what we already can do, and even what they add is really restrictive. And they have the negative of either playing garnets in the deck or not really accomplishing something that we cannot already do anyway with our current setup. Crimson Dragon itself have the same problem, because Crimson Dragon really, the combos that it does, at worst you end up on a weaker board with the same opening hand. So if you take the same opening hand and you do it with a regular combo with 2 Atom, or you do it with the Crimson Dragon combo with only 1 Atom and 1 Crimson Dragon, because usually Crimson Dragon is used to replace the second Atom that you summon. So you take the same hand, you either end up on a weaker board, and it's easy to mess up the combos with Crimson Dragon because you need to keep track of your like synchro summons and your tuners, right? Like you need to do things in the correct order, otherwise you can mess up and end on nothing basically. It's very easy to mess up these combos, especially for a newer player. Like I've been playing Dragunity for 2 years now on Master Duel, and I messed up the combo a lot when testing it out in solo mode. Like it's not very intuitive, it doesn't feel good. Let's just put it that way. It doesn't feel good to play this card right now, like without synchro rumble, which is a card that I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. But yeah, like this combo, like with Crimson Dragon, like it feels a little bit weird. It's not really intuitive. I can see newer players like to the deck mess up this combo a lot and end up hating Dragunity for it. Like, yeah, the only advantage that this card has is that you can summon it, use its effect to cheat out one of the synchros, and then you summon it again to end up on it as part of your end board, and then try to cheat out another synchro on the opponent's turn, right? The only problem with that is that Crimson Dragon can be negated because it bounces itself back to the extra deck for effect, not cost. So it can be impermed basically, right? So, which is not ideal, and you don't want to use your negates, especially like your Omni negates, just to save Crimson Dragon. Like you want to use your negates on something more more urgent, I guess, right? So yeah, as opposed to Access Synchro, which tributes itself for cost. So the only way for the opponent to like disrupt it is by like a graveyard targeted effect, basically, right? Like Called by the Grave, for example. So it's much harder to stop Access Synchro than to stop Crimson Dragon. So yeah, I don't know, like this card doesn't feel good right now because there is another card that is missing from Master Duel, which is Synchro Rumble. So this is another card that supports Crimson Dragon and searchable with Crimson Dragon as well when it is summoned. And this card basically is an extender, and it offers protection as well for your synchro monsters, like the level 8 dragon synchros, right? So it's extender and protection. Usually this card is used to summon back Luin from the extra deck, and then you summon back a level 4 monster with either Dispatter or like you normal summon it, and then you go into Arid Bear with it. So this card alone allows you to go into Arid Bear, right? Or other synchro monsters depending on your resources. So you can see how this card is really good. So, however, this card was not released in Master Duel alongside the other cards. I don't know why, because if you see here, this card was released in the Age of Overlord set, which is the same set that the Snake Eyes card was were released in. But for some reason, Konami released the Snake Eyes, and they did not release this card. I don't know why. The Snake Eyes card are much better than this card, and they are much more obnoxious to play against than this card, but for some reason they thought that it's okay to release the Snake Eyes cards, but they did not release this card. Of course, there are other cards in that set that were not released yet, but you get my point, right? Like I kind of wish that they released this card with the other synchro sets, but yeah, they did not release this card, so this makes Crimson Dragon a little bit worse. So yeah. Anyway, what else do I have to say about this card? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I don't think it's necessary. Like it doesn't offer something new to the deck. Like you're not gonna end up doing something new with it. I mean, you can, but it's just gonna be a little bit more restrictive. Like you can, for example, try to cheat out Shooting Majestic Star Dragon with it. If you play the Synchro Ward card, you can try to cheat out Crystal Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, which is a really good card, to be honest, but your only way to summon it is with the Crimson Dragon, basically. So if you don't have access to Crimson Dragon, you don't have access to this card. So if you commit to this card, you better summon Crimson Dragon, basically. Otherwise, you should not play it. Yeah, other than that, there is not a lot of other targets. again, like I said, you can just King Calamity with it, but you would need Sync Reward and then make this pattern level 12 with the effect of Sync Reward. But that combo requires you to play like some Garnets in the deck, so it's not that good. Like, literally, I'd rather play like the Gamma Seal Control variant over this, or I would just go and play like, I don't know, like the OG Dragunity list, basically, like with Barca and everything over this, because right now it doesn't feel good to play this card. So my advice is that if you want to play this card, I advise you to keep 2 Atom in the extra deck just in case, to make things much easier for you. Of course, this requires you to just get rid of some cards in the extra deck. So you decide on that. Otherwise, it's not really necessary, so you can just cut it out completely and play the regular list anyway, and you will not lose on anything. Like, not playing Crimson Dragon is fine. Like, it's really fine. Like, because with it or without it, you're not gonna miss on anything, basically. So yeah, so that's my my 2 cents about Crimson Dragon and how they released it without Synchro Rumble. Like, this is really disappointing, to be honest. I was really looking for it, like for Crimson Dragon, but after I saw the cards and tried to test it out, I don't feel the combo with it, to be honest with you. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I had to say. Make sure you guys, if you liked the content and if you liked my other videos, to subscribe, leave a like and comment on the videos. It helps me with the algorithm a lot, and I appreciate the support from everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.